World Wide Web. I'm going to go and confirm here. I'm joined, as always, on the Taking Up Space podcast by the wonderful and incomparable Stacia J. Turner.
Hello, everybody.
We're just hanging out. Taking Up Space was founded, as I choke immediately. Taking Up Space was founded as a space to do just that, just to be present with one another. I'm gonna drop this music down. There's so many people, and I've been in the clubhouse spaces for the last few weeks, and there's so many people who believe, it's right there.
Meta.
We're a little hot. I can't hear you because you're not talking, but
you can't hear me at all. Oh, because you can't.
Because you weren't talking.
Right.
But anyway, we started this to just be present for each other and present for the community through an extension of our conversations. And so this is episode number 9, which is all about queering Black history. Stacia, take it away.
Yeah, I wanted us to be in conversation with each other about what it means to diversify the stories that make up the collective imaginary of what it means to be Black. You know, I think that we'll get into it more in the show, but I think that, you know, as I reflect on Black History Month, as we're in that month, I think we can get caught up in going through the motions of uplifting Black figures without thinking about how it relates to our own, how these figures relate to our own identities and what is possible for us. And so I wanted you and I to talk about what Black history means to us individually and how we think about our own personal lineage, ancestry, and personal history as it relates to making Black history now and what it means for us in the present. And I'm excited to do that. I think it's important. And also to talk about the pros and cons of Black History Month as a concept as well is something I think that's an important conversation to be had.
Okay, so break into it. What pointed you towards this? Was it the fact that we're just sitting in, because I'm over here tweeting the episode out and making sure people know that it is. And thank you to the one person who is watching right now. So grateful to have you. Feel free to drop us a chat and let us know who you are. The conversation today is all about the queering of Black history. Why this topic? Is it because we're sitting in the month and you just wanted to flip it, or what was it?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about the month, especially as it relates to my professional work, or like organizations that I'm working in a professional capacity. You know, when it gets to February, everyone scrambles to try to think about, like, what are we going to do? Especially now that, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement and Black civil unrest is more prominent in the public imaginary. There's this like knee-jerk reaction to be like, we got to hit the beats of making sure that we're messaging to whatever Black history means. And there was something that I didn't like about, you know, reflecting on that sort of performative way that I think we collectively deal with Black History Month. And I wanted to unpack that with you and think about, like, how do we actually utilize, well, first of all, have conversation about like some of the challenges of Black History Month as a concept, but also like how we can figure out ways to make this idea empowering, rather than just going through the motions for, you know, commercialized purposes.
Right. So what was your first talking point?
Say that again?
What was your first talking point?
So my first talking point is just to talk to you about, like, what do we mean by queering Black History Month? And what I meant by that is to diversify our narratives about what it means to be Black. Does that make sense to you? Or do you want me to break that down? Yeah, because I think, you know, there's different character beats of what it means to be Black. You know, the sassy Black girl, or the sassy Black gay man, or there's all these beats. And I think that when we get caught up in those character tropes, it cages us into an identity that stifles us from being our most authentic self. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted us to sort of talk about, like, what does Black History Month mean to us in terms of our own personal identities, and finding breadcrumbs of our collective lineage that feels empowering to, like, who we are now today.
Love it. Love it.
Do you feel any kinds of ways about Black History Month as a concept? That's one of the things I wanted to start with as well.
So that's a perfect opportunity for me to, I'm going to drop this music down, and I'm actually going to play for you Mr. Morgan Freeman's response in an interview to how he felt about Black History Month, and how he feels about it is pretty much how I do as well. So here it is.
Excellent.
Black History Month you find ridiculous.
Can you hear that downstream?
Yes.
History Month you find
ridiculous.
Why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? Well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a Black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman.
All right. That's how I feel about it.
Excellent.
That's how I feel about it. I feel like I don't even really celebrate it. Like I was conditioned in my past lineage to wear the special pressed and starched kente cloth for those services that month. I had a wonderful bedazzled sash that went across me. You know, they were kente cloth vest and suits and choir robes and all kinds of pomp and circumstance and recitations of the speeches, that I am somebody, Maya Angelou poetry on repeat. I did all of that.
I still don't know all the words to the Black National Anthem, so I guess.
So you weren't in this, yeah.
My card's revoked or something.
I mean, I don't think there's any card to revoke. Another way in which we torment each other for simply holding an identity that is suppressed and oppressed. So I'm with Morgan Freeman in that, like, I'm Black every day of the year. I don't want I believe that Black History Month is tied into the capitalistic commercial Hallmark empire. Like they probably move more mahogany branded cards in that white empire during these 28 days. And so for that, I mean, I say this as someone who was a whole elf in a whole costume for Christmas, which is supposedly centered around the alleged birth of Jesus. But I watched a Jewish man who owned the whole Santa Land establishment for Christmas.
Ain't that some shit?
I watch him come in every day with my own eyeballs. I'm like, I'm not talking shit about Jewish people. I'm saying, like, this man has a name, and every day he'd come in and he'd be like, ooh, how much did we cash in today? Like, he didn't care about Christmas or Jesus or anything. That's the God of his life was the dollars. And I feel like similar things I feel like similar things are happening as it relates to Black History Month commercially. I really want to always strongly pivot, and pardon me as I like silence my watch, Jetson style. I want to always pivot towards Black liberation, like the actual legitimate liberation of people, oppressed people, Black people and poor people, people who seek to step outside of this excuse-based paradigm of how we, like, oh, something came up or I couldn't do it, or, all of these excuses that we make as it relates to our Black excellence, or the fact that we are even, hey, Lindox, good to see you. As it relates to setting oppressed people free. I hope that we're always steering our conversations in those directions. That's it. That's how I feel about Black History Month.
Yeah, I feel a similar way. And I think you, just circling back to why I wanted to have a conversation about this topic in general, is I think like I was feeling moved by my feeling of frustration of being like, now's the time, the beat of where I'm supposed to like, have this focused attention on Black history, as if it is not something that should be a living conversation that we have every month as an aspect of our American history. And like the need to perform in that way, to like, especially as it relates to sort of social justice movements and stuff, like, I think I just have a feeling of frustration about being like, oh, well, now's the time where we've got everyone's attention and we got to pick the perfect figures that represent all of the things that we're saying right now while people are paying attention. And all of that seems really shallow. And in the spirit of liberation, I'd love to also get into talking about like, I want to have a more personalized approach to what history means, and thinking about not just like picking some generic, I don't want to say generic, because every, figure in our history of the Black diaspora who's moved us forward, those who we know and who we don't know, matter. But I think that there's a way where we can just like take some templated stories without having a real conversation with ourselves about like, wow, I see the capacity in me through learning about the story of this person. We are more than just, these traumatized images that we've been shown. And also looking back in my own family lineage and being able to name for myself how certain queer and non-normative aspects of myself have always lived on through my lineage, and that like every Black family has some iteration of a queer person, gender and or sexuality wise, and that there's a living history of people who didn't always fit into the normal mold of what it meant to be an upstanding Black citizen or person at that time. And that I think it's really important for us to unearth those stories that speak to us in ways that are empowering,
I get it. And I think it should be happening 365 days a year. But I think that's also an inside job, because there's a lot of Black people who do not celebrate themselves for the 28 days or anything else. I'm encountering Black people almost daily since I've jumped on Clubhouse and other spaces like that. And I mean, you go anywhere and you can see the self-hatred of a lot of human beings, but particularly Black people have actually eaten. It's like putting antifreeze in the food. It's like you've eaten antifreeze laced food for so long that a whole paradigm of just functioning at a higher level seems inaccessible. It's like, don't eat the food that has antifreeze in it. You could actually get more done if you stopped eating the food that has antifreeze in it. Where do people go? Oh yeah, nice apple, nice orange. Doesn't do anything for my taste buds. I really liked it when it had antifreeze on it. And then they go back to these habituated patterns of nigodem. I'm not interested in that anymore. It's really frustrating to me, frankly, when there's such an opportunity right now for all people, Black, Indigenous people of color, and also people who are poor. If you're not sitting on top of six figures, or if you don't have a sustainable income, we should be uniting together to stop eating the food that has the antifreeze. But people constantly are calling people back into these spaces of, but don't you want the, I mean, it's very insidious how we're constantly being called back to eating fucking garbage that's like, shit, like you got to work twice as hard to get half as much. No, they don't work at all.
Real talk. And I was just going to say too, I think it's really important for us to not pattern the exploitative ways that Black people have been conditioned to think that we've got to work twice as hard to, get half as much or whatever. I think when we unearth the narratives of the full extent of our power and the diverse ways in which we can express that power that's within us, and to see how Black people have been so resilient in even the most oppressive circumstances, that shouldn't be an excuse to say, it should be the opposite of an excuse to say, well, because we were enslaved XYZ, that's why now I can't do this because I don't have as much access to whatever. I think we should be looking at our history and saying, wow, if these people had the capacity to be so resilient and to still do these things, there's always a window of opportunity for us to spiral upward. Like we've got to, as you were saying earlier, walk in true gum, continue to push towards progress, and with critique, with a vengeance and a critique towards positive change, but not use that as an excuse for why we're not doing our own work to achieve our goals and dreams. Because the access at which we have resources and tools to achieve things in comparison to even just our parents' generation and their parents' generation is ridiculous. Like, it's just ridiculous.
That's why I refuse to contain our magic to 1 month, 28 measly days, because our access to free resources to improve and increase our lives are unprecedented. We've never seen, we're in the age of Aquarius for you woo-woo motherfuckers, and like we've never seen an opportunity quite like this. Am I still coming down stream good? Because I got some.
You sound good to me.
Right over here. Cool. Let me know if I don't, and I'll do the same. But
we'll do.
One thing that I want to anchor in what you were talking about was what was coming up for me was, if there's anything I can give to anybody for free, but especially Black people in these times, you want to be moving from the I can.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't only apply to the subject that we're talking about today of queering Black history. If I were to queer Black history, as a queer person who could speak to this, if I were to queer Black history, I would flip the whole motherfucker upside down. I would queer it by reminding everyone that Black excellence is not something that is special to a select few. That's actually everybody Black. And everybody who loves Black people from an open and abundant heart.
Word.
And so with that knowledge, we can move from the I can. And I see a lot of friends and loved ones and people, there are people in here who we may never meet again along this path. I hope that in your life that you choose to move from the I can. When I was a kid, there was this little book that we had called Thomas the Tank Engine. No. I'm sorry. It was I'm conflating stories because of the sativa. Thomas the Tank Engine is a whole nother. I'm talking about the little engine that could.
Oh, okay.
Which is a classic tale about this engine that, didn't know whether it could or not. But towards the end, by thinking I can, I think 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 I can, this little train gets over the track. It's a wonderful story. I'll drop a link to someone telling it wonderfully in the show notes because people make millions on YouTube doing this shit. The sky's the limit. So anyway, once you put yourself into the little engine that could space of not just thinking that you can, but knowing that you can and having a self-belief or self-actuating thought inside your chest. I can't give this to you. It can't come to you in a pill. It's not at the bottom of a bottle. I can't even smoke enough sativa to get to that place.
Mm-hmm.
It is a place inside you where you, regardless of your reparation money or restorative justice money or paybacks or kickbacks or, places on earth, oh, child, I was feeling that thing. On earth are giving restorative kind of refunds back to citizens for where they live and how they live, and there's systems in place to make this all happen. But we are all not moving from the level of the I can. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to hold myself accountable to this language in the company of the ancestors and those who are listening now and on the podcast later. Like, where are the areas in my heart, in my mind, and in my pain body? And if you don't know anything about the pain body, Google that shit from the teachings of Eckhart Tolle. But tell me, beloveds, where in your body, in your mind, and or in your heart are you holding beliefs that are the opposite of I
can? Yeah.
And in there, we do it all the time. I sit in spaces with beloved Black people and those who love them. And I say, wait, I just heard you for the last 45 minutes talk about this situation from the level of the opposite of I can. See, I won't even say the words that are the opposite of I can because I don't want that power in my life. I want to always be moving from and vibing high at the level of the I can.
Possibility, yeah.
Now, some people be like, well, what does that do for my bank account? A lot,
yeah.
Because I can appreciate what I have. I can be grateful. I can do infinite things because there's infinite possibilities in this universe. We are all what? Stardust.
Mm-hmm.
We're all stardust. And I think that once you start seeing how you're interconnected with things and you start moving from the I can, a whole lot of space opens up, in an instant.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with all of that. I think that's one of the reasons why I really love Octavia Butler, the science fiction author, because she did an excellent job of casting these narratives where it's typically a Black woman lead who is in some kind of dystopian future. But there's always that I can energy of there being a world of possibility that's embedded in the strength and resilience of this main character who is a Black woman leading the collective towards this transformative future. And those narratives, I don't know if it's because like Black woman psyche to Black woman psyche or what, but when I read those stories, they hit so deep so close to home with the circumstances that we've been living through of late as it relates to the environment and pandemic, and thinking about the opportunities for us to create entirely new systems. And I sometimes get frustrated with social justice movement and getting stuck in the opposite of I can, because if we rebel rouse to the point of burning the shit down, what happens on the next day if we haven't spent enough time visioning and dreaming about what it looks like to be on the other side? And we forget that piece of it, you know, sometimes. I think we really can. And one figure that I also want to bring up in the spirit of how I really try to make stories and narratives about Black figures throughout time. Like, when I find somebody who speaks to naming certain aspects of myself that I never felt were empowered by the outside world at large, those are the figures that really hit for me. And one example of that is this Trinidadian-born journalist and activist called Claudia Jones. And she was a prominent figure in the Communist Party in America and internationally. And one reason why she really spoke to me is because as someone who somewhat considers myself a Marxist, oriented towards thinking about socialized systems, you know, I think I would get really frustrated about the ways in which, and there's lots of people who talk about this, about how Black figures are not commonly spoken about in like communist Labor Party oriented circles. And in some ways, I do think in the way that Morgan Freeman was saying, we got to stop talking so much about race and just like move from a place of living our lives and our humanity. That's important. But when we're not including particular narratives in our understanding of what it means to be human, that's problematic. And so Claudia Jones is great to me in that, you know, she was a really powerful journalist. So there's that writing piece that is really important to me, and like writing about socialist labor movement organizing. And that, you know, she was on her grind, really trying to organize communities as a Black woman in challenging social circumstances. Like, that was her work. But the other piece that I love about her that really speaks to me is she was a fucking fashionista. She was super fashionable. She was really like a fashion icon that isn't talked about, and you can Google her, you know, it's Claudia Jones, spelled the way it sounds. And when you see images of her, she's just always on point with her style. And I think that piece really spoke to me, because sometimes, you know, I can get so deep in the.
Could you spell that out? I can't find that. That's not as obvious as you think it is.
How do you mean?
How do you spell? You said.
Oh, okay.
You said like anybody can Google this and find it. I went in real time and tried to Google it, and I cannot find
Claudia, Claudia, and Jones, Jones.
Claudia Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know why it wasn't meeting my ears in that way. All right.
But so I think, you know, she's not really talked about in fashion circles, or, you know, and she's also not really talked about among communist circles. And she really speaks to me because, like, when I read about her and I saw images and pictures of her, this interconnection between her being like a fierce communist activist, but also treating her personal sense of style and aesthetic as like an aspect of self-care, I would name, because you see consistently that she was just like very stylish. And so I don't know, that's endearing to me, because, you know, those are two seemingly disparate aspects of myself that are important to me. And so, like, in seeing that in a figure that's not prominent, it names for me those aspects of myself, you know?
Nice.
What's that?
I said nice. Mm-hmm. So, for those of you just tuning in, to reset the room or to reset the podcast as we do in Clubhouse Spaces, today we're talking about Black history and the queering of Black history and how, what it means or doesn't mean to us. One of the questions that came up for me was, how does Black history inform us? And I wanted to pause there because if we're not actually looking at the history and applying the lessons from the history to our present, we're going to be in the same situations we've always been in. And that's something we have to actually own. And people don't like it. Like, don't you talk about my mama? Yes, I will. Your mama was asking for reparations and to be restored by these white people. Your mother's mother, your mother's mother, and your mother's mother's mother were all asking for this. If you think that you're going to be able to sit around on fucking Instagram scrolling and double tapping your thumbs all day or Snapchatting each other and think you're going to make the world a better place, I got a fresh pile of shit in a bag I can tell you as a fucking bouquet of roses. Like,
well, excuse me, Unky Dre.
These things don't align. They don't align. We're not actually, and someone has to actually start saying it. Like, there are people that are ducking and dodging in their lives when they say they want to be great and they say they want to be known and they say that they want to like take up space and they say they want to like be this business owner and this thing. They say they want to do these things. And then when the rubber meets the road, you're like, come on, it's go time. Like, you got to go. I've experienced at large, like in Clubhouse Spaces, people being like, we should be really gentle with people in a pandemic. Like, we're all going through a really, really tough time right now. And I'm like, that is true.
It's a both and.
But you also cannot be over here being like, why can't Black people get any help? Black people have all of the help because you're talking to me on an iPhone. You have all the help. If you're watching me or listening to me right now, you're within a very privileged part of the population.
Mm-hmm. Global population.
Let me just take a footnote right now and just for like maybe 1 to 3 minutes talk about this. If you've not heard of Facebook Basics, then I'm about to wake you up. And Uncle Dre always comes with the pots and pans of the yard. I'm just trying to make it to 40 because, Malcolm didn't make it to 40. Martin didn't make it to 40. None of the greats made it to 40. I'm just, for the record, in front of Jesus and everybody, the Black Jesus, not the white one. I just want to make it to 40. The message that I have is that we are performing at times conversations that are about as worthy as the tickets you get out of the machine at Chuck E. Cheese. Ooh! And I'm just done with it. I'm done with it because if the history is not informing a change, then we're wasting our fucking time. And I'm not interested in wasting time anymore. We are seeing Facebook. I learned this because Black people are not seeking knowledge. Poor people. Don't think I'm not talking to your white ass. If you're poor, if you're still moving paycheck to paycheck or you don't know where the next thing's coming from, I'm talking to you too. Facebook has put into third world countries cell phones that are subsidized by the government and Facebook, that the only internet these people can get for free through that device is Facebook. If they try to reach out, if they try to download WhatsApp, if they try to download Telegram, my personal favorite, if they try to leave and use and get data for Telegram, something that Facebook can't see and the governments can't see, then they have to pay for it. But as long as they use Facebook and that one app of Facebook on a government provided cheap phone, then they can get to the internet and they can read the news. People have been killed and mass genocides because of misinformation given through Facebook Basics. It's not we don't even really have the free Facebook either. That's why that shit is not on my phone. Fuck you, Zuckerberg, and the horse you rode in on. But facts are that there's a suppression of information and knowledge sharing in pieces of the world that's killing people. I refuse, like I said, the question that I had as a leading question in my notes was like, what is Black history? Okay, we know it's every day now for me. Now that it's every day, how is it informing the actual freedom of information being passed? For those of you who are under the sound of my voice, I want to invite you into a private Telegram group. If you don't know about Telegram, it's something that's 2% market share of a messenger in the States. It's been chased out of Russia. The Russian government shut down 18 million of their own servers in order to try to shut this app down, and they could not because there's one guard. That's why I don't fuck with Facebook like that, because there's one guard. I've been shadow banned from Facebook, so people won't even probably see this or hear this because I've been buried by them, because there's one guard that wants Facebook Basics. If you Google this, let me make sure I'm saying it the right way so that I can, because I found out about this Facebook Basics. Wait. Facebook. Wait. Are they in? Wait. Hold on. Now it's buried to me like I'm not making this shit up.
I'm Googling right now, trying to see. And
they ended the program quietly in Myanmar.
I bet they did right now with that shit popping off over there.
The app provides users willing to sign up for Facebook with internet access that doesn't count against their mobile plan, stuff like weather and local news, but keeps them within a specifically tailored version of the platform's walled garden. The result in some countries with previously low connectivity rates was that the social network became synonymous with the social network. People think that the internet itself is Facebook.
Fuck.
And it's killing people. So anyway, if you want to be part of the solution, I'm going to open up a through lovecityarts.org a free Telegram space where we can talk to each other or disseminate our information. Actually, the program still exists as one of their initiatives. I'm going to drop the link actually over to you, Stacia, and our Telegram
excellent
platform. It still exists. So they've made it so that if you Google the program, it looks like it was canceled. Ain't this some white people shit? If you Google it, they make it seem. I just dropped it to you in Telegram, boo.
Yep, I got the notification.
If you Google it, it looks like the program that killed all those people because there was a genocide, because something got out of hand on Facebook Basics and people were starting to kill each other and do witch hunts in their fucking villages and shit. Look this shit up. Look up a country called, I swear this information is disappearing as
it very well may be.
As I'm trying to look it up. Myanmar, I think is what the place.
Yeah, Myanmar and Burma.
Myanmar. A sizable portion of the nearly 100 million users who have come online through internet.org live in Myanmar, where Facebook partnered with local telco Myanmar Post and Telecommunications for the program in mid-2016. The social network went on to serve as an accelerant to violence and ethnic cleansing related hate speech.
Also, I was just going to say, in this link that you sent me in Telegram, it's like all the marketing of this like free basics for Facebook has like all these brown people like on phones using the internet. And at the top of the page, it says, help people discover the relevance and benefits of connectivity with free access to basic online services. Like, fuck shit.
Oh, it hailed itself as like something, and there's just smiling brown people. And what's happening in 2021 in our present world that we are inhabiting, people are being given access to $20 phones. That can run Telegram, because Telegram is 100. I have a burner phone. Everybody knows I have a burner phone. I have a burner phone.
Of course you do.
Of course I have a burner phone. And so my burner phone also runs Telegram, and it's so light, and I have instant connectivity. But people on Free Basics, if you go to connectivity.facebook.com/free-basics, the people who are giving these phones, they're not getting access to Telegram where they can use their
encrypted, anonymous
burner phones, the throwaway where like shit pop off. There's a way in which the world can open up that we're not opening up. And I want to make sure that if we have the capacity to be Sojourner Truth, if we have the capacity to be Harriet Tubman, for me, my Harriet Tubmaning in 2021 is saying like, Stacia, you know how to reach me on Telegram. If the first phone blows up because Apple decides they want to brick our shit one day, then reach me on the burner. If you can't reach me on the burner through Telegram, then we need to get closer than 30 miles. I'll be on channel 15 within a 30-mile radius looking for you. That kind of stuff. I'm using Black History Month and Black History Year to constantly remind us that we must remove ourselves from the static. There's lots of noise that would seek to even, I've been blacklisted and booted from Facebook and thrown in Facebook jail for my hate speech about the ills of white supremacy for years now. And I finally jumped off the platform personally. I'm still on there hanging in the shingle of love and respect and accountability. But as far as relating to it personally and hearing your white people tears in the DMs, I'm no longer accessible to that part of the platform. I figured out, Stacia, as a form of Black liberation, I figured out how to use a platform that they provide for free. So I'm giving you free advertisements to Facebook, your evil asses. It's called the Business Suite. So I can actually open my laptop, go into the Business Suite, post up any links that I want to. Actually, I should do that. I should drop our link right now for what we're doing. Anyway, if we're not live there already, I wouldn't know because I'm not on Facebook. But
sure.
You can drop whatever link you want, and then simply walk away. It's like,
beautiful.
There's an apple pie freshly baked for those who want a slice, and then I can turn and close the door and walk away. These are the ways in which we, in the age of Aquarius, we can move from
using the tools and not letting them use us.
I think a lot of us are having a hard time with that. If we're honest about it to ourselves and to each other, we're having a hard time. We're having a hard time navigating this shift from book knowledge and all that you could regurgitate was the status quo of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, where you went to school and you paid your money and they said something in the lecture and you were able to quickly remember it and dump it back. That was one way in which the world operated. Now we're moving. Someone said this last night at the cookout, actually. I run an event from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern every weekend on the internet, and you can find out more information about that if you just DM me anywhere. If you send a pigeon to my doorstep, you get the information you want. But at the cookout last night, we were talking about the importance of spaces like this podcast and also spaces like the cookout, because in a land where we're all getting different versions of reality through our phones, through our tracking devices, we're all getting different versions of reality in a space where 2 + 2 equals 7.5 to a lot of people. Like, I mean, you laugh about it. There's a whole flat earth movement. There
Mm-hmm.
are out
Mm-hmm.
here that are thousands deep.
Yeah,
White
absolutely.
black people, and everybody in between that believe that the earth we're on is flat.
Sure.
I'm not talking about something of yesteryear. I'm talking about some. There's tons of clubhouse rooms right now that are going on. Talking about how the earth is flat and eventually we're gonna just sail into the edge of it. You know, meanwhile, I respect that conversation being able to be had because it's not one of evil and darkness. If your flat earth, listen to me clearly, everybody. If your flat earth that you live upon, because it's all belief and constructs and made up shit anyway,
Mm-hmm.
including the construct of race. So the fact that we like, that's what Morgan Freeman was talking about. The fact that we even have to be like white person, black person, and have the month in the first place is fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fact that we're even talking about it as long as we have is also ridiculous. But I love talking with you, Stacia, on live. So, you know, we're talking about it, and you know, like, there's nothing wrong. But I hope that this is the last conversation that we have to, like, the fact that we're documenting it for me and my Aquarius ass.
Archiving it, yeah.
I'm like, okay, we don't have to wonder if we're worthy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to even entertain the conversation of, is Black History Month valid or invalid? What we need, focus on the bouncing ball. The bouncing ball is that they're handing these free burner phones, like my cheap burner. See, this is a burner that I have that if that shit goes up in smithereens day after tomorrow, I go right back my man's shop. And you know there's a man's shop. I go right by there and I say, could you get me another one of these? But see, I've got freedom in this, and that I'm not being watched or, you know, like
surveilled.
This
Yeah,
is off the map, right?
Mm-hmm. I also
the people in Myanmar who killed each other. I want to be very clear about what I'm talking about, and maybe this may be a derailment from the Black History Month thesis of this.
It's fine. I'm here for it.
But if we're going to talk about Black History Month, we got to talk about Black people and the sacredness that is Black people. The governments flamed the fires of racial war. Facebook enabled it by only allowing people to use the internet if they were on Facebook. I think Facebook has a culpability and like blood on their hands for this shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But talk about it. I'm yelling about it. I'm sorry.
Well, one thing that I wanted to pivot to, that one of the things you started with was talking about this, you know, moving from a place of I can. And I think what we give attention to is what we manifest. And while I think that Black History Month is an absurdity, what I'm trying to use this time and space of, you know, the messaging of Black history being in the ether, I'm trying to transfix that energy and ritualizing, routinizing me having conversation with these figures of African lineage that empower me. And rather than focusing on all the trials and tribulations for the anger's sake of thinking about how disempowered I can be, I'd rather look to the empowerment of the narratives, all the narratives. And there's so many narratives. That's the thing that's frustrating to me, and I think to both of us, is that if you have however much time one might spend on Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever is your Reddit, whatever is your social media platform of choice.
Shout out to Redditors. Yeah.
You know, we have time to unearth narratives that speak to us. That's the beauty of the fact that, like, race is a construction, and within the multitudes that are the Black diaspora, you know, the lineage of all the different kinds of people that ethnically come from African ancestry, there is something for any person. There's a story for you that you can find as a tool of meditation on the possibilities of your own empowerment. And if we're not using our tools and resources to find those narratives that speak to us, and or writing and archiving our own, it should really be a both and. What are we doing with our time? You know, and I think that's the frustration that you and I both share about, like, where Black people need to take our own accountability for the places in which we are stifling ourselves from reaching our fullest potential, myself included. You and I have constant so I don't even want to act as if I'm beyond this, you know.
No one's beyond it. No one's beyond it. I'm like, how are we using the present moment that is our lives?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm pointing to. My thing is, like, don't squander it. Like, just don't fucking squander it. Like, we only have one life to live. No one's ever come back from the other side, and the aliens haven't yet revealed whether or not, you know, it's happy over there, allegedly. I don't get caught up on the trope of, like, seeing my granddaddy on the other side, seeing my father on the side. I'm not really convinced that that's how it happens. I'm convinced that the strawberries and blueberries in my house right now are going to be a sweet sound to my taste buds. That's what I know to be true. But the sweet by and how this all shakes down, given what we see, I'm not really caught up in the present. I'm not really caught up in the past or the future. It's more of a present kind of grounding thing that I want to embody, because, I mean, I feel like the history, I want to praise the Black history of our ancestral past, but I feel like the history that actually matters is the history we're making right now. Mm-hmm. Are you going to commit in a real way to use and I need to look up what it's called. I'll have it the next time I jump in. There are let me just do it with y'all. Apps that message senators. Shit.
Oh yeah, with the, like, templated call to actions for different things. There's so many of those.
And so there's one I want to recommend. You know, if resist.bot, it does it pretty much for you, but you raise your voice. If you're not doing that once or twice a week in my community, shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. Especially on all the complaining we can do. If you're not doing your part in an action-oriented way, then it's like, what is the point of putting that energy into the ether, really?
And people think I'm rude for talking this way.
No, I know. You and I feel like, are on the fringe in terms of being united in this kind of perspective, because there's a lot of clout capitalism right now, and just, like, really harping on what we want without the work that we need to do within ourselves to be ready and primed for the successful manifestations that we say that we want.
Right.
People don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear about the hard work part. Like, I kept telling them that, and this is in the spirit of Black History Month, and I consider myself Black excellence, and I consider myself part of Black history. I'm one of the niggas that actually went into these spaces, and so I consider myself living, breathing part of Black history, and I think that everybody Black should as well. Yep. Where's my thoughts going? Oh, so, you know, Jennifer Lewis, the great prophet, an actress, Jennifer Lewis, said it best. You know,
love her so much.
The elevator to success is broken. You have to take the stairs.
Real talk.
I don't care where the reparation comes or if it doesn't come. The walking of the staircase to climb. Now that I'm going to say, also acknowledging my privilege that sometimes I got to floor 90. And because of a connection that I made in undergrad or other things, you know, I went from 90 to floor 120 on an express pass on the elevator. But then when I got off at 120, here's the part they don't tell you about. When you get off at 120, if you still have 90 mentality, if you don't, if you've not done the work of being worthy of the fast pass, the express lane. When you get to 120, they're going to ask you, who are you to be on 120? And Black people and those who love them and poor people, if you've not done the work to be like, I'm a resident on 120. Are you not a resident on 120? Oh, we're all residents here. Carry on. But if you're not getting off of that, like everybody wants to get put on and get, maximized and amplified, and they want to be seen more. Some people want to be seen more, and what I'm seeing is basic as fuck.
Real talk.
We come from like the Seth Godin school of thought. Like, if it's remarkable, folks will remark.
Real talk. And also, I just want to say too, in this idea about like that history, we can have a living history, and that the present is only every now moment. So every past moment is a history, which means that every present moment we have an opportunity to do better.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're not progressively trying to take those opportunities to do better for ourselves, then it's really going to be hard to manifest our full capacities. It's really going to be hard. And so I think what you're speaking to right now, if I'm hearing you correctly, is it's real easy to talk about what you want, how you want to be put on, how you deserve this and that. But then it's funny how sometimes when people get those opportunities, they're not ready. You know what I mean? They're not ready. They're not ready. Myself included.
They get mad at you when you tell them, like, there are very simple steps you can take towards your dreams, but you got to take the simple steps towards your dreams. And if you look up one day and you're not sitting on your dreams, there's only one person to be blamed for that shit. I take this very seriously because I don't want to be a statistic to myself, regardless if I get shot in my face with a bowl of ice cream in my hand or not. As a black man in America, I don't want my own undoing to be my own undoing. I don't want to be sitting on top of fiber optic internet and amazing technology behind a secure wall. So don't try me, ho. And like, I don't want to be sitting on top in this compound, on top of all of this blessing, and not use it to raise the conscious vibration of love. Like, I just refuse, because, and the reason why we have to do these things strategically in the spirit of Black history in the making is because I just read, like, even though all of those Black people and brown people were killed in Myanmar at the hands of they're still active in Bolivia, Papua New Guinea, Trinidad and Tobago, the Republic of the Congo, and Antigua, St. Lucia, and El Salvador, and more than 50 countries with 81 mobile operator partners around the world. Today, more than 1,500 services are available on free basics worldwide, provided to the people in partnership with the mobile operators. So there's still evil abounding, and you got to think about how that sways global economies, how that contributed to Voldemort. Was the most trending name for the last 4 years. I'm not going to even name that person with the orange face, because I don't want them to come up in my algorithm that I'm part of. But that name trended as supreme until the white people that enabled it decided to turn it off. They did not turn off full access of his white man mayhem until like 4 days before the transition of power into another white man's hands.
Preposterous.
Artist formerly known as Biden. So, it's really that deep. And I want to continue, as long as they allow me to live, I want to continue to beat the drum of, like, there are communication stratas where we can say, like, the best we can, are you armed? This is what Black liberation is for me. Black liberation for me is 30-mile radius, 30-mile radius walkie-talkies, ever charging with backup battery supply on the kitchen counter. It is a main phone for business and a burner device as well. It is making sure that I can get in connection with my beloved community through Telegram and apps like that, and instantaneous kind of formation. It is me spending the extra $25 a month on the burner phone just so that I'm double down as a Black person in America. I know that's not accessible to everyone, but I think on some level it is. Like if you stop buying the sneakers, if you stop, if you cut the cord as I have, like there's no cable television in my phone, like in my house, little things like that could be the economic rebalancing act to help us. What say you?
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say, I also wanted to add that, what's that?
What was it on the time? Yeah, you were good. Keep going.
That making sure that we're also naming for ourselves that we are arming ourselves with the knowledge of who we can actually depend on. Because a lot of y'all fools are looking around, watching people's stories and their statuses and whatever, and just doing whatever. But it's like, if shit gets real, who's your communique with? And are they going to be reliable for it to even matter? And while fools are worried about which sneakers they're wearing and if you bought the Fendi this or whatever, like that shit does not matter and is just another expression of performative Blackness. Like, I mean, we've all got our style and fashion are an act of self-care. I do believe that. But at the end of the day, when hoes cannot put healthful food in their, in their homes, but have a fresh pair of sneakers on that you're trying to flex on your social media webs, that's problematic. And that's something where we got to look at the man in the mirror and have some real talk about,
Stacia, did you have to go bang, bang, bang in the yard like that?
I had to do it.
That's usually my job.
I had to do it. You bring it out in me.
There are different levels. What's happening, and for those of you just tuning in, we are talking today about Black History Month, whether it really is a thing or isn't a thing, and how we move as Black ass people in Black history as it's actually happening. One of the people don't like this. I carry the spirit of Iyanla Vanzant, where it's like, we must stay grounded, beloveds, and we must also hold each other accountable to a greater level of dignity. Dignity. And I'm not going to waver from that talking point probably for the rest of my life, because I think that if we do nothing else but hold each other as human beings to the highest standard that we can attain. We're only using 10% of our brains, and half of us haven't showered in a couple days. It's cool. Imagine what happens if we actually start reaching for the low-hanging fruit. I'm calling to mind, and I'm dating myself, Crash Bandicoot. Remember how he could just, in the beginning stages, which is what we're all in, us broke-ass millionaires. In the beginning stages, level 1 of Crash Bandicoot, when he was on the cart or running along, and all that shit, as Crash Bandicoot would run through in the early stages, the fruit was very easy to get. There were no opponents. There were, just diving through, just getting all of that fruit or whatever it was called. There's a name to the fruit. Could you Google that for me?
Yeah.
Google what the Crash. It's like Maruka fruit or something. Google for me what the Crash, or someone let me know in chat what the Crash Bandicoot fruit was called. That should be I should have given away a gift card or something for that. Anyway, Stacia will find it. Anyway, I feel that while life is difficult for us all in a pandemic, there is low-hanging Crash Bandicoot fruit.
Wumpa fruit.
Spell it.
WUMPA fruit.
Wumpa fruit. Yes, Wumpa fruit. I feel like that we all have some very low-hanging, easily accessible Wumpa fruit in our lives. I do feel this way. That's my only message. And I feel sometimes like I'm like, the really forlorn looking girl at the ball with all of the pretty people. Sometimes I feel that way because my message is very simple. there's Wampa fruit in the style of Crash Bandicoot, or if you're a Sonic kind of person with Sega, if you're that kind of person, there's rings in the early stages, especially, I mean, we're not talking about CEO level or board member level or SVP level or, Tyler Perry level. I'm talking about where you are.
Wherever that is.
There's wherever that is. It's different for everybody, and I say that compassionately. But your rings, Sonic didn't hit all of the difficulty in the first level. In the first level, it was like, oh, get you some rings. Oh, then you get knocked around a little bit, but you go back.
You're building up. Yeah.
Capacity building, right? Of rings and Wampa fruit. And so as my closing remark, because I got to go to a meeting, and for people, I mean, shameless plug for me in love, I coach people, and help people build out their Wampa fruit stand.
Yeah, you do.
And that's what I'm going to be doing in a few minutes. So if you
you're doing it with me right now.
right now. And yeah, we're just capacity building each other. That's my closing thought on that. Whatever your Wampa fruit is in life, if we never cross paths again, it's chill. If we never cross paths again, it's completely legit, because I want you to know that there's Wampa fruit and low-hanging fruit and rings for you in your life, regardless of where you are. And if you start just trying to look for the solution, like Crash Bandicoot always moved forward in the game. And if you stopped moving, he just kind of sat there and did his thing and kind of just jumped. So did Sonic. You could just start the Sonic level and just stand there. I mean, that's one way to play your
I like to run.
But Sonic needed that momentum of run, and then it took him through the loops, and then it threw him off the cliff and all of that stuff. You want to be kind of in that energy if you want a happy life. Now, if you want a drab life and a basic bitch kind of life where nobody likes you and you don't like anybody, then you can just stand there. But if you want to dip your toe into love, energy, conversations like what we have with Taking Up Space with Stacia Dré, I gotta change the cue card because we don't have a production team yet. It's just us. Taking Up Space with Stacia Dré functions as a free-flowing space to air, let your titties out of the sports bra. Good looking in the Love City Arts t-shirt, Stacia. I see you over there. Thank you for that brand placement. Let your titties hang though. And if you are into briefs that cut you, did you know, I learned earlier this week that they poisoned that man in his panties.
What man in his panties?
There's a Russian activist right now named Novel or Russian. Got my door. Activist. He's in jail right now. Alexei Navalny. Now let me see if it's true or if it's someone told me that they poisoned that man in his drawers.
In his drawers?
Alexei. This is why I go underground. I talk out here and then I go underground. Yes, you FBI and CSA and all of it. I go NSA. I go underground. Transcript this bitch. This is why I go ghost on that ass, burner phone and all, because they are putting poison in activist underwear. Let me fit this. The Guardian's pretty credible. Opposition. Navalny says Russian officer admits putting poison in underwear. This is what white people are doing.
Yikes.
Opposition leader apparently duped spy agency worker into revealing role, and I can't pronounce that plot because I don't speak the language. One of the operatives allegedly involved in the attempt to kill Alexei Navalny has confessed to his role in the plot. He has revealed that the Russian opposition leader was apparently poisoned via his underwear.
Is this a prompt that we shouldn't wear any?
Navalny phoned two members of the team from Russia's FSB spy agency, which allegedly tried to murder him. One recognized him immediately and hung up. The second operative, name I can't pronounce because it's Russian, was seemingly duped into thinking he was talking to an aide working for a top FSB general. Anyway, it goes on to say that, let's see. Yeah, they put they applied this drug to the inner seams of the opposition leader's boxer shorts while he was staying in a Siberian city.
Yikes.
So people who are speaking for true liberation, this is why I kick it with a burner phone, and this is why I kick it with Telegram. Elon has his reasons for fucking with Signal. That will be on the burner phone as well. Stacia and I have ways to get to each other in a partridge and a pear tree. We have a protocol. I'll let you know what it is. It's trying to ET phone home on regular channels. Then it's a Telegram that isn't monitored because in Russia they took down 18 million IP addresses and servers trying to like shut it down. And if she can't get me there, I'm gonna start marching in her direction on the compass. And once we hit 30 miles radius close to each other,
on those walkie-talkies,
channel 15. And if I'm not on channel 15, I'm going to be on channel 22. And that's what it is. That's how, hopefully we don't have to use these devices and hopefully we don't have to do this, but I'm putting the systems of power on notice that, I mean, you should be in Clubhouse for those of you who can get into it. The lid is being blown off on the transmission of information. Like, we recognize that the stock market is evil. We recognize that white people are making a moral evil choice in the degradation of our bodies and our life blood. And now we've had enough. And now we have ways to talk shit about you to your face and also behind your back. And you know it's happening behind your back because we're telling you so. You will not get a Jillian. You won't get another ounce of rest on my watch because I want to make sure that the carpet is matching the drapes. The drapes, boo. The Drakes. That was a Floridian slip. Drake, because Drake said nice for what?
Real talk.
Yeah, Drake said nice for what? Like, I think that there is a space for us to love each other. If you are a person under the sound of my, and I mean this, if you're a person under the sound of my voice who is hungry tonight, I'm not going to come on here with Stacia and perform social justice and not be social justice. If you're a person under the sound of my voice who is hungry tonight, don't know how you're going to eat because you can't afford groceries. I know the sun is going down in the States. If you are hungry tonight and you Instagram DM me, I was under the sound. This includes the people who are listening on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
If you are under the sound of my voice at any time and you hear this voice and you are hungry, DM me, Andre in the Flow, and we will work it out. Because there's coming a time, I feel, and this is the standard of dignity that I'm holding Black people to, where eventually all of the words are going to be like, okay, that's cute. Everybody's yelling into Clubhouse right now. I could open a portal and you could hear
talk is cheap.
People talking. But
talk is cheap.
It is. But if we don't start actually, okay, and I'm going to pivot to this as the last thought because I've also got to check them because my 5 o'clock was pinging me message, or it could be a cancellation, or it could be them wanting to small talk me before the 5 p.m. meeting that I scheduled. I don't fucking know.
Sure. But
I wanted to give you your flowers, Stacia, by saying that Stacia sent no I think I bought one of these, but Stacia sent no less than 2 of these to my house. There are friends that will sit with you on the phone and go, yeah, girl, I know. What a goddamn shame. They should be ashamed of themselves. I know. Yeah, girl. Yeah. Black people ain't shit. Yeah, girl. Niggas ain't shit. She said what, girl? She said what? Yeah, girl. Oh, no, girl. Can't do that with me. Me either, girl. Black Lives Matter, girl. Yeah, girl. I know, girl. We ain't never gonna have nothing, girl. Yeah. Yeah, girl. All right, well, I'm gonna go in here and watch this Real Housewives of Atlanta, girl. You know how Nene acts, girl. Yeah. Okay. Now, when that man you know what to do, girl. Text me, girl. Text me.
Speak on it.
That is the hamster wheel. And then, you know she didn't call me, girl. She died on that couch watching Real Housewives of Atlanta, girl. Yeah, girl. She never called me back, girl. She died on the phone. I heard it was the high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, girl. That's what people's existence. We don't do that over here. What we do.
Dignity.
Stacia sent me this book called We Will Not Cancel Us and Other Dreams of Transformative Justice by AMB, Adrian Murray Brown. I cannot wait to meet you one day, Sister Queen. Stacia J. Turner also sent me Undrowned, Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals. This is some woo-woo shit, but let me tell you something. It's Setting the Captives Free. Both those books that I just showed you are based on the foundational text called Emergent Strategy. For those of you who are leaders under the sound of my voice, who are not only, you could be hungry for food, we can take care of that in the DMs, but if you are hungry and thirsty for knowledge, and if you've been wondering, like, why am I struggling in a heart-centered space with trying to move the needle in my creative flow and in the things I want to build, Stacia J. Turner is soon starting a salon. This event will be a laid-back kind of book club where you can either have the foundational text and or the supporting text that she sent me to deep dive into, or you could sit in the room and say, wow, I just heard about what it means to build critical connections over critical mass, and I want to talk about it for a few minutes if you'll give me, because we're going to ask you, like, did you read the book? Because if you didn't read the book, then you'll get like maybe your 1 to 2 minutes of airtime. If you read the book, because let me tell you something. As I'm promoting Stacia's salon, there are two different kinds of people in this race. There are people, and don't take this too far, but hear what I'm saying. There are people that are chickens, and there are people who are pigs. Walk with me. I'm not talking about the cops this time. Fuck the police. We're not talking about the cops this time. There are chickens and there are pigs. A chicken can give you food. Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. Here's another egg, girl. Another egg of discontent, girl. Yeah. Another egg of gossip, girl. Yeah, girl. An egg can do that, right? But a pig, in order to give you the business, if you want to get bacon from a pig has to give its life. And the question that is emerging is, are you a chicken? Are you a pig? Now, don't take it too far. I'm not saying you got to die for your shit. I'm saying, but what is the level of sacrifice? Are you going to
embodied philosophy
with your life to give bacon to you, Stacia? I've got to come up off of my life. I got to give you salon time. So when Stacia schedules this all out, it'll be coming very, very soon to etherealmaterials.com. That's etherealmaterials.com. etherealmaterials.com. When it drops, when those dates drop, we'll have a very easy way for you to register. If you are not just a chicken trying to lay eggs and wonder why, well, that's one way to live it. But if you want to actually go deeper in your knowledge building, come to the salon. Like I said, your time on the mic, and I think what we should do is implement, and this is all black boy joy coming off the tip of my tongue right now. I think that we should allow people on the call to rename themselves with a designation, like put an asterisk behind your name if you're salon only. Put a hashtag behind your name if you are deep diving. And then we give people space
based on how you engage the text.
And if they start going, oh, thank you so much, you're a salon person. So back to the text, people, like, what did you think about page 48? And for those of you who want to call my bluff, because people apparently once you make it to Broadway and you start singing on Broadway, you get labeled as being elitist and inaccessible. And no, I'm not signing autographs every night when I leave the stage door. And we will make it, and we can put this on etherealmaterials.com. I want to go on record as partnering with Ethereal Materials and Love City Arts that we will provide up to, what can I afford? How much is this motherfucker? $16. We will offer 2 scholarships for people who cannot afford the books. And we will make that accessible. So if you're a person that's out there that's saying, oh, you snooty ass Broadway bitch, what have you done for the people lately? I'm offering 2 copies of this book in addition to the free $99 donation-based salon that you should be coming to as we have it. Stacia is building in leaps and bounds and wanting to provide spaces that empower the people.
Yeah.
The likes of Angela Davis talk about Black history. Stacia will be doing that using texts like these and beyond. Jump in, Stacia.
Yes, I really wanted to end on this note about the dignity piece, and also shout out to the cookouts programming that you are hosting on Saturdays, and the follow-up to that, which is the digital movie drive-in. Last week, for those of you who weren't there, Andre hosted a digital drive-in theater episode of Iconoclast with Maya Angelou and Dave Chappelle. And the vibe of Maya Angelou was so beautiful in that despite her status as an iconoclast, the energy that she treats others with, and that you could tell in the texture of her connection with Dave Chappelle, was one of uplifting all other Black people and creatives with a sense of dignity that makes the person feel it for themselves. Because she described this circumstance where there was like a young man who was cursing out somebody and just like acting a fool. And she basically described this whole anecdote where she was like, why are you behaving in this way that is beneath you? Mm-hmm. And I think we want to create spaces like the cookout, like this emergent strategy salon, where if you can see through the bullshit, you will realize that we are of the energy of radical love that holds each other accountable to our greatness. And everybody won't hear me though, and everybody cannot hear us on what that is. And folks can say we're patronizing or bourgeois. It's really not my business. What people think about me is not my business, but catch the vibe and the wave if you can. Please come, and you will feel the texture of that connection if you participate in our spaces. We are more than welcoming to have people who are ready to catch that vibe, to be there and to vibe with us.
It's a love thing. Boogie, yep. Woogie. And so I just want y'all to know from our heart to yours, we really are so thankful for the time and attention. I'm going to get episode 8 and 9 out on the podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can have it on the toilet. You can have it in the shower, like wherever you want this love thing that Stacia and I are trying to vibe higher with. I'm going to make it accessible to you all. I hope that some of the gems that were spilled in here today, and beyond the gems, just watch how Stacia and I relate to each other. Like, watch when she talks a lot and I zone out. Watch how, even though I zone out, I still recognize the nuggets and the wisdom that is a brain that is Stacia J. Turner, and vice versa. I think that in a non-performative way, we need to be modeling what it looks like for Black comrades and those who love them to just be present, where I can literally go to the mountain of sativa and Google about free basics and their evil ass, and re-up my my burner phone, all in real time, while taking up space and talking about the Black history that's manifesting through etherealmaterials.com and also Love City Arts. Yeah. I mean, I think it's as easy as this. What's weird, and
Oh, you're coming up on your 5 o'clock, just the time check for you.
What's weird is, you see, I got panicked for a second. What's weird is that in the cookout yesterday, people have not relaxed into a love vibration, in that they I'm not sure if I lost you or not, but
I'm listening.
When you put on the music in the room, you say strangers from all over the country, nay, the world, come and just listen to a chill vibe and talk to one another. I'm going to turn up this music in the main room. We're just going to chat. People clam up. It's like they don't know. They've forgotten. They're so busy performing on the Instagram.
Because social media primes us to be like, to put so much pressure into the performative nature of personal marketing and branding, right? And so it's like, we're patterned to think that we have to do this song and dance in order to sort of be on brand and for us to be valuable and worthy. But when you can unlock in yourself, and it's definitely a process that I personally am still working on, to really divorce yourself from giving a shit about all that, all the crosstalk exterior to you and interior to you about what you can't do and what you can't be, all those limitations. When you let go of trying to be somebody and realize that you always be somebody, that's the true empowerment, honestly. But it takes time for folks to get to that place.
Thanks everybody for watching episode 9 of the Taking Up Space podcast. This week, we'll be back in a couple weeks. This week we talked about Black history, what it means to us in the year of our Lord 2021. Thank you to Stacia J. Turner, as always, for being a fantastic collaborator and the jelly to my peanut butter.
I love you so much.
I love you too. I'm going to hit you on Telegram the moment that this ends so we can land this, but then I got to also look into what's going on with my 5 o'clock in 3 minutes. Okay. Love y'all. See you soon. Sign up for the mailing list at lovecityarts.org and etherealmaterials.com. Sign up for both of those mailing lists and catch this love train.